Good morning. It's time to talk politics. On the right, Abdul-Hakim Shabazz. On the left, Kip 2. The issue of same-sex marriage, the U.S. Supreme Court will take up this issue. What does that mean at the State House?
I'll be happy to go ahead and start. What it means is that lawmakers may want to put this on hold. If you look at the California amendment, it's actually a lot less complicated than Indiana's, and so if the U.S. Supreme Court is going to decide whether California's amendment violates the U.S. Constitution and the Equal Protection Clause, then Indiana would definitely, lawmakers want to put this on hold until they get a ruling back from the U.S. Supreme Court.
I hope they do put it on hold. It is one of the most restrictive pieces of constitutional, if you will, nomenclature in the country, and it not only restricts same-sex marriage, but it restricts heterosexual civil unions as far as many people have interpreted. Over 600 laws are impacted by a IUPUI student study. So I hope they slow down. Obviously, I don't want them to pass anything because I think it is discrimination against gay people, and I hope that they will stop.
But with the supermajority, is a temptation there to do something, and just because they can? Will the Republicans say
there's definitely
there's
definitely a temptation, but I think that the public's moving pretty fast on this issue, and I think that they're doing that. If they do that, they'll do it at some peril, and it's more than that. I think most of corporate Indiana and Indianapolis is opposed to this amendment because they think it sends the wrong message to recruitment of young workers to economic development in the state, and I don't think people want it.
Last word.
Fundamentally, I believe everybody is entitled to be as happy as my lovely wife. So if lawmakers are smart, they'll just put that stuff on hold and leave it alone.
Well, listen, if your wife is happy, then we all have to be happy. On the right, Abdul-Hakim Shabazz. On the left, Kip 2. You can watch the best in politics every Sunday this week in Indianapolis, right here Sundays on RTV6. Our conversation continues on the IndyChannel.com. The issue of supermajority. We saw last week in the paper the issue of this income tax that the governor-elect wishes to pass, and already the Speaker of the House saying, hold on now, don't go too fast. Are we going to see clashes even though there is this supermajority?
I think that, number one, a rival TV station did put out a poll yesterday that said, or 2 days ago, that said 64% of the public here in Indiana would rather see the money spent on something else rather than getting the $100 or $200 back. I think that's a huge sea change. It's hard for me to even imagine that 10 years ago, but I think the public has been now convinced that Indiana's been cut to the bone, and I do believe that the Republican legislature, the leaders in the House and the Senate, feel that we've cut too far, and they don't want to cut anymore. I talked to one 2 nights ago who said, we may reach this goal in 4 years, but we're not going to reach it all in 1 year.
And I think that point is right. I'm talking to a lot of Republican lawmakers who philosophically, of course, lean more toward tax cuts. However, the big question is, with the phase out of the inheritance tax, the cut of the corporate income tax, can Indiana afford, quote unquote, another tax cut? The Pence people say they can do the tax cut and leave about 13, 14, 15% in reserves in the bank. The question is going to be, do they get it all in 1 year? The way I see things going, I can see this probably being phased in over a 3-4 year period to see how it impacts the bottom line and how it impacts the state budget. I personally believe at the end of the day, I'd rather you have the money that you worked for than the government have it.
We saw on the federal level when the Democrats had the supermajority that things did not go so well. There was a major shift. Then 2 years
We never
later.
had a supermajority. I don't know what you're talking about.
You never had in the House?
No, in the United States Congress, no, we didn't have a supermajority.
They had 60-40 seats
in the Senate.
In the Senate,
but we didn't have. It was not a.
I'll change the question. When you had a large.
But they had the whole ball of wax. They had the whole government.
Yeah, we had all government. That's
okay,
true. That's fair.
That's fair. So will we see the same thing happen on the state level, where they now have everything under the sun except superintendent of public construction? Will they be able to just rule the roost and do whatever they want?
Yes.
Or will they face then the voters in 2 years will say, hey, this is too much for us?
They do have even more power than the president had 4 years ago when he first got elected. They got more power because the Democrats can't even stop anything by walking out. And of course, by contrast, the Republicans in the United States Senate filibustered everything to stop everything. And the president never had a majority that he could work with in the United States Senate, except for maybe this 60 days or whatever it was when there was some transition. But yes, they can do whatever they want. and Democrats cannot stop them. The question is, will the voters stop them if they go too far? And I think that's a question you were asking.
Right. So is there a price to that? I mean, can this
Well,
go too far?
Well, with great power comes great responsibility. Yes, Republicans can do whatever they want. The question is, will they? I think there's enough seasoned veteran leadership, people like Brian Boswell, people like David Long, and they have enough good lieutenants. They can keep some of the younger guys who may be a bit more radical in their thinking and keep them in line. And the one thing they can always point to is the state treasurer, Richard Murdoch, whose name in the State House has now become a verb. Dude, don't Murdoch us. In other words, don't go over the ledge, don't go too far, just do good government, and we'll get reelected.
Well, we saw last year, with the Girl Scouts, with defunding Planned Parenthood. I think that there's going to be some things that are going to happen in that legislature that are going to be radical, and that the Democrats are going to be able to take to the voters in 2 years. That's my prediction.
Radical ideas like teacher paycheck protection. What a radical concept.
Which is a terrible idea.
A great idea.
Terrible idea.
They love each other. They love each other. And thank you for the beatdown. I appreciate the beatdown. It's always good. On the right, Abdul-Hakim Shabazz. On the left, Kip 2. Thank you, guys. It's okay. And thank you for watching TheIndyChannel.com. I'm going to heal my wounds in the green room. Thanks, Kip. Appreciate it. Thanks, everybody.